It's an interesting time for business. Tariff and trade policies are dynamic, supply chains are squeezed, and cash flow, it's tighter than ever. If your business can't adapt in real time, you are in a little bit of hurt. So how do you get full visibility and adapt in real time? Over 42,000 businesses trust NetSuite by Oracle, your AI-powered business management suite. It brings accounting, financial management, inventory, and HR all under one roof. NetSuite is the #1 cloud ERP for a reason. It's your single source of truth, giving you the data and control you need to move quickly. Real-time forecasting helps you move into the future with confidence, and with AI built in, you can automate the busy work and focus on strategy. NetSuite helps you see what's stuck, what it's costing you, and how to pivot fast. If I were running a business with a lot of moving parts, I'd use NetSuite for full control over everything. Tame the chaos with NetSuite. If your revenues are at least in the 7 figures, download the free ebook, Navigating Global Trade, 3 Insights for Leaders at netsuite.com/SPI. That's netsuite.com/SPI. Congrats, your business is doing great. All your hard work is paying off, but you need help like now, and you have to hire fast. How can you hire amazing candidates quickly? Easy, just use Indeed. When it comes to hiring, Indeed is all you need. Stop struggling to get your job post seen on other job sites. Indeed sponsored jobs help you stand out and hire fast. And with sponsored jobs, your posts jump to the top of the page for your relevant candidates so you can reach people you want faster. And it makes a huge difference. According to Indeed data, sponsored jobs posted directly on Indeed have 45% more applications than non-sponsored jobs. One of the things I love most about Indeed is that it has one of the largest databases of job seekers, giving employers access to a wide range of candidates. And with job alerts, I get notified when new candidates apply. And with Indeed sponsored jobs, there's no monthly subscriptions, no long-term contracts, and you only pay for results. So how fast? Well, in the minute that I've been talking to you, 23 hires were made on Indeed, according to Indeed data worldwide. There's no need to wait any longer. Speed up your hiring right now with Indeed. And listeners of this show will get a $75 sponsored job credit to get your jobs more visibility at Indeed.com/smartpassive. Just go to Indeed.com/smartpassive right now and support our show by saying you heard about Indeed on this podcast. Indeed.com/smartpassive. Terms and conditions apply. Hiring, Indeed, is all you need. The perfect product launch. It's the goal for every brand marketer. High heat, fast sellout, and fans posting recipes like trophies. What do Sydney Sweeney's soap drop, Taylor Swift's tickets, and your next launch have in common? Well, they're not bought, they're bragged about. Fanfare turns your drop into a moment. Fanfare cues real fans, blocks bots, and builds launch experiences worth screenshotting. Want hype without the heartbreak? Get Fanfare's 5-step hype drop playbook with our proven success formula and make your next launch unforgettable at fanfare.io/playbook. Again, fanfare.io/playbook. This is the Smart Passive Income Podcast with Pat Flynn, session number 150. Good morning, good morning. We've talked the whole night through. Good morning to you.
Welcome to the Smart Passive Income Podcast, where it's all about working hard now so you can sit back and reap the benefits later. And now your host, who's sad he gave away his pogs in college, Pat Flynn.
Still using a copy-paste website? Break the template trap with Framer. Whether you're overwhelmed by traditional site builders or frustrated with cookie-cutter designs, Framer gives you the freedom to create a site that's professional, polished, and uniquely yours. Framer is the design-first, no-code website builder that lets anyone ship a production-ready site in minutes. It's free to start, allowing you to browse hundreds of pixel-perfect templates or even design something on your own on a totally blank canvas. Add bold animations like appear effects, text effects, parallax scrolling, scroll animations, looping animations, and much more in seconds. The built-in AI handles the heavy lifting, generating starter layouts, and can even translate your entire site to any language. Ready to build a site that looks hand-coded without hiring a developer? Launch your site for free at framer.com and use code SPI to get your first month of Pro on the house. That's framer.com, promo code SPI. Framer.com, promo code SPI. Rules and restrictions may apply. Hiring shouldn't be a hassle or a drain on your budget. Upwork is your one-stop shop to find, hire, and pay top freelance talent, saving you time and keeping costs in check all in one place. Companies at every stage turn to Upwork to get things done and find more flexibility in the way that they staff key projects and initiatives by assessing a global marketplace filled with top talent in IT, web development, AI, design, administration support, marketing, and more. And I've personally used them myself and can vouch for them. Posting a job on Upwork is easy. With no cost to join, you can register, browse freelancer profiles, get help drafting a job post, or even book a consultation. From there, you connect with freelancers that get you and can easily hire them to take your business to the next level. Upwork makes the entire process easier, simpler, and more affordable with industry-low fees. Post a job today and hire tomorrow with Upwork. Visit Upwork.com right now and post your job for free. That is Upwork.com to post your job for free and connect with top talent ready to help your business grow. That's UPWORK.com, Upwork.com. Go there now. What's up, everybody? This is episode 150 of the Smart Passive Income Podcast. I appreciate you so much for being here, and I hope you enjoyed that rendition of Good Morning from Singing in the Rain. That's 1952. I mean, that's Debbie Reynolds, Gene Kelly, Donald O'Connor. I mean, those are old school classic names, and hopefully I did them justice in the SPI way with some beatbox. And anyway, thanks for listening to that. But why are we talking about the morning? Why this whole good morning thing? Well, because I've recently injected a morning routine into my life over the past couple months, and it has made a dramatic difference in my productivity, my creativity, my focus, my business life, my personal life, in all different ways. And I'm going to share all those things with you in this episode and talk about sort of how my schedule has changed over time. And at the end, I'm going to give you pretty much a rundown of what my day looks like. And unlike before, now, ever since implementing this morning routine and hearing some advice on other podcasts on how successful entrepreneurs maximize and optimize what they do, I have a very specific set of things I do in the morning, very regimented, very, without having to think about doing it. I just do these things. And I leave the hardcore decision making for, more important things, not, should I make coffee now? Or, should I brush my teeth first or go exercise first? Not that. It is saved for all those important things related to my business and personal life. And I'm going to talk more about that in a little bit. But I want to start out by taking you back in time, getting into the DeLorean, closing those gull wing doors, and taking you back to May 16th, 2011. On May 16th, 2011, I published a post on the Smart Passive Income blog called A Day in the Life of Pat. And I'm going to give you a rundown of what life was like back in 2011 right now. So this is kind of where we're starting. I didn't write this post until then because, life changes, things happen over time, and I wish I had done this in the beginning so I can sort of remember exactly what life was like even before I had kids. But at the time of this post, I had one child, my son. He was almost 2 years old at this time, and this is what life was like. So I'm not going to read this post word for word, but I'll read sections of it and kind of analyze it, and then you'll see the differences over time, how my life has changed, how my routine has changed, and how it has gotten better over time. Not to say that it was bad back then. Part of being an entrepreneur, part of living life is to be able to adjust to the things that happen around you. And, nothing more important and nothing more drastic happens in your life than sort of when you have a kid. I mean, your life just completely changes almost overnight. And my life did change when I had a kid. And so this is what life was like with one kid. So I would wake up essentially at 7 a.m. So I even say here, my alarm is my son calling for mommy from the other room. And I would go get him, and we'd have breakfast together, we'd have playtime, and all this time my wife is asleep. I let her sleep until 10 a.m. She has the hardest job in the world as a stay-at-home mom. I mean, all moms have a hard job raising children, but a stay-at-home mom especially. And I feel like my wife is the just most underrated player in this whole Team Flynn. I mean, nobody gives her credit for the work that she does, but it's so important. And I wouldn't be able to do what I do, even what I do right now, podcasting, blogging, going to conferences and stuff. I mean, it's all because of her, and I'm so thankful for that. And so, I do what I can to give back to her, and I want to let her sleep in. And, I'm a little selfish in that way too, because that's my time with my son in the morning. So I get my time, my wife gets more sleep, and she'll have her time with my son, alone time while I'm working later in the afternoon, you'll see. So once my wife wakes up at 10 a.m., we play together more as a family. We have lunch together. And by that time, again, my son's only a year and a half, so he's taken 2 naps during the day at this time. He goes down for a nap at about 10:30 a.m., at which point my wife and I, we talk, we chat, we catch up, we hang out, just watch a little TV together. And then 30 minutes or an hour later, I'll get to work. And at that point, my wife is kind of doing her own thing until my son wakes up. She can't really get deep into anything at this point because my son will wake up in like a half hour typically. And again, I'm talking about back in 2011 when my son was 1.5 years old and my business was 3 years younger than it is now. Same type of business though, a lot of content production, a lot of brainstorming, podcasting, blog writing, and things like that. At that time, I go into work mode. So I go in the office, I shut the door, I turn off my phone, I get rid of all the distractions, I turn off Twitter and Facebook, I turn off Skype and things like that. And then I do a lot of things that are that don't require too much creativity. So a lot of stuff that is maybe repetitive or stuff like answering emails, like those things don't require creativity. They're almost brainless in a sense. And the reason for that, I mean, emails aren't brainless, but you know what I mean? They're kind of a repetitive thing that, one by one I go through them. There's not such high level thinking at that point. The creativity I save for the nighttime, and you'll see later in the schedule back in 2011 when that comes into play. So that's sort of what happens in the afternoon, and I go until maybe 4 or 5 p.m. So I'm working 4 hours so far during the day at this time. And my wife, she knows that when my son wakes up, she's sort of taking care of him while I get work done and playing and doing whatever it is that they do, read, all those kinds of things. Then around 5 p.m., I get out of my office and we hang out as a family together. We either go out to dinner or I love to cook myself, so I cook. And, that's always good because we're health conscious and we try to cook and, have healthy foods. And that was sort of happening around this time, mostly because not too long ago before this, I was just not feeling good. And I wasn't feeling good in the way that when my son was almost 1 year old, I was carrying him up the stairs. And I got to the top of the stairs, 14 steps. I remember because I counted because it was just so insane because when I got to the top, I was completely out of breath. And that was like a big wake-up call for me. Man, if I can't even go up the steps, 14 steps with my son without getting tired, what's going to happen when he's 2 and running around like mad? What's going to happen when he's 5 and he wants to play soccer? How am I going to keep up with him? I really need to focus on my health and what I'm eating. And it was just shortly before this post, maybe a few months, that I started to turn things around. So, what we cooked and what we ate was really important. And also at this time, I was working out, and you'll see that later in this schedule as well. So in the evening after dinner, we'd relax as a family, and then 8 p.m., we'd put our son to sleep. And that took about an hour to do because we'd give him a bath and read and all that stuff. And then 9 p.m., both my wife and I together, we would actually do a workout. And we were doing these at-home fitness workouts. A lot of you who have followed the blog for a while know that I've posted, these little before and after pictures. The first one when I did the P90X program. And at this time, I was talking about the Insanity program by a trainer called Sean T. from the Beachbody Network. And so that was really good for us. It kept us fit, but that was the only time we could fit it in during the day was at 9 p.m. So, of course, by the end of that, I'm up. I'm excited, I have adrenaline, and I'm ready to get into work/creative mode. So this is when I'm writing blog posts. This is when I'm brainstorming and doing a lot of creative things. That's what I did at that time. It was all the nighttime until about 2 a.m. when I would get to sleep. Now, during those work hours at the nighttime, that's when my wife would get things done around the house because, it's hard to take care of house-related things and that kind of stuff when you have a 1.5-year-old. So 2 a.m. I'd sleep, and then we'd kind of go through the same cycle every single day. And that was, a flexible schedule, and that's the beauty of doing online business in the way that I teach it and that I share, where you have a schedule, and that's very important to have, or else you tend to cross over those boundaries between personal life and business life. This was after my wife and I had some serious conversations before we had kids when those boundaries were being crossed. I would have conversations with my wife, but at the same time, I'd be thinking about my business. And while I was working on business, I'd be thinking about doing other stuff and not focusing on my business. So having that schedule in place, and also, like I said before, a physical space where I can check in and go into work mode, then I can, after work hours are done or whatever my schedule says, I can check out both physically and mentally from work. And that was really important. If you have a family, that's even more important because you want to make sure that you're fair to the people around you and those that you love. So again, this was back in 2011. 2012, I would say a year and a few months later, my wife and I had our daughter. And for any of you who have kids out there, you know that having a second child doesn't 2x the work that you have to do to take care of your children. It kind of 10x's. Sometimes it feels like 100x. It's a lot. So at that time, we had to make some changes to the schedule, and I wanted to be there to support my wife and taking care of both of the kids at the same time. Luckily, my son was a little bit more independent at that time. He was about 3 years old, almost 3. So he was a little bit easier to take care of, but of course, a brand new child in the home. I wanted to be there as much as possible. So a lot of that time I had spent during the day working back in 2011, that was dedicated to my family, and more of my work hours went toward the night. And so for those of you who have recently heard about my schedule or perhaps talked to me about it or heard me talk about it on podcasts, on other people's shows, you know that my work hours start at 9 p.m. and I don't typically get to bed until 3 p.m. or 4 p.m. or 3 a.m. or 4 a.m. So I'm working hard late night because for a few reasons. One, I want to spend all day with my kids. I mean, that's why I do what I do, so I can spend time with my kids. So I'm not going to waste that time, that precious time when they're growing up, and man, they're growing up so fast. But I also know that if I even tried to work during those hours, I wouldn't be able to focus because I'd be like, man, the kids are having fun and they're laughing in the other room. I want to be there. But also they would interrupt me. And I've tried doing work during the day, and even if I get into a good 30-hour block of time, it's going to get interrupted at some point, or something's going to happen, or somebody's going to scream, and it's just going to, wipe my attention away from my work, which is hard. And the hardest thing to do when you get out of work mode is get back into it after something. And so I don't even deal with that. I don't even do work and try to do work while the kids are up. I only do work after the kids are asleep. And so again, this is from about mid 2012 to, even just last year, late 2014, my entire schedule, all day with the kids, which I loved, and then hustle at night after they're asleep. And it worked. That's how I got so much done last year. And I loved it. I don't sleep as much as most people do. And I don't want there to be a whole conversation about sleep. I obviously know sleep is important, but I also think that it's not about the number of hours you sleep, but the quality of sleep that you have. And there's a lot of books out there about this. Sean Stevenson was on the podcast before talking about things you can do to optimize your sleep. And I know we've all slept 8 hours before and still have woken up groggy. So I'm doing a lot of things that are working in my favor to maximize the kind of sleep that I have. So using apps like Sleep Cycle is an app that I use now to wake me up in certain parts of the cycles of sleep so that it can wake me up at the optimal time when I'm not in deep sleep, less of a chance of waking up groggy. Obviously, when you eat better and you exercise, you're going to sleep better and deeper. And when you get sun in the morning, when you wake up, one of my rituals, some of you might know this who follow me on Instagram, is to go outside and get some sun when I wake up and the sun is up. And that was something I always did because it helps with your cycle. And so all those sorts of things help. So I would say on average, I get 6, usually a little less hours of sleep. And then I interviewed a person named Hal Elrod in episode 140 of the Smart Passive Income podcast, who, was just very timely because he has this book called The Miracle Morning. And it was at around this time that I was listening to a lot of other podcasts. Again, this was November, December of last year. And on those other podcasts, I kept hearing about people's morning routines. Tim Ferriss, that's a question he asks almost every guest that comes on. Why don't you tell me about your morning routine and what it's like? And every single person has this incredible ritual that happens when they wake up. The Tony Robbins episode, and I mean every single episode that Tim does, and on John Lee Dumas's show, Entrepreneur on Fire, they talk about this all the time too. And I was like, what's the big I was like, what's the big deal about this morning thing? I'm just the opposite. I do things at night. I would have never thought I would have done this morning thing. But then after talking to Hal in this interview, and you can hear it on episode 140, he talks about the fact that when you start your day by waking up for you and improving yourself and priming your morning for the rest of your day, it just has a grand effect on everything that you're doing. And that kind of flipped the switch for me. I was like, wow, I always woke up because of an alarm, because I had something to do. I set an alarm based on the first thing I have to do that morning. And, when I talked about 2011, it was always my son. And that's obviously a great thing to wake up to. But a lot of us who have jobs, we wake up because we're going to go to work. But we wake up because we're going to do something that is somebody else's priority. But what about waking up for you first and doing things to self-improve? And that really caught my attention. And I was like, you know what? I like to experiment with things. Let's try this out. So I put the Miracle Morning into my life. I read that book. I actually read through it twice. It's a short read, but I highly recommend it. And I started to implement parts of it into my daily routine. And I have to tell you, It was not easy. I mean, like I said, would go to bed typically around 3 or 4 a.m. And it took a while to get used to waking up at 5:30, 6:30 a.m. I mean, I was just not able to do that. And I remember the first time, I got hooked up with this app called Sleep Cycle to help me wake up. And what it does is it kind of runs an alarm for you at the time at which you are not in deep sleep so that you can wake up. I remember waking up to that alarm, which was nice, at 5:30 a.m. those first couple weeks, and then just snoozing. And I'd wake up at my normal hour. I mean, I just was disappointed because wow, okay, my body's telling me that this is just not for me. But there were some other things that I did, even when I woke up later than I wanted to, as I started to transition into this miracle morning. And I've added journaling into my life. And that's with the help of 5minutejournal.com. If you go to 5minutejournal.com, all spelled out, written out, the number is FIVE, 5minutejournal.com. I use that book to journal immediately when I wake up. Or close to the point at which I almost immediately after wake up, I do a few things first, and I'll go through my routine in just a second. But that's been incredibly eye-opening for me to wake up and think about the things that I'm grateful for and reflect on those and think about the things I want to accomplish during the day. And that night before I go to bed, which is what this book tells you to do, is to write a few things before you go to bed. There's actually prompts and blank spaces you're supposed to fill in, 1, 2, and 3. I think about the things that I accomplished during the day and that were awesome, and I can reflect back on those. And so it puts this nice sort of, but as soon as I wake up, I think about the amazing things in my life, and I can prime myself for an amazing day. Right before I go to bed, I think about the amazing things that happened, and I can get excited to wake up the next day and do even more. And so it's just really cool. Adding journaling to my life has been really, really cool, and something that I thought was just kind of for, teenage girls to write when their boyfriends break up with them. But no, this is something that I hear a lot of people do, and I implemented it, and it works, and I love it. And 5-minute journal is great because it kind of guides you when you journal. It's not like just a blank piece of paper, and then you start writing. Dear journal, today I thought about, no, this is like, okay, write the 3 things that you're grateful for right now. What are 3 things that you want to accomplish during the day? And then before you go to bed, what are 3 amazing things that happened? And also, what's one thing you wish you improved on or thought you could do better? It's amazing. I've also implemented meditation into my morning routine as well. And I'll talk about the order of operations here in a second, but meditation with the help of a tool called Muse. And maybe you heard me talk about this before. I talked about it on the blog several times. And if you see me wearing it, it's silly. It looks like this little headband. And on this headband, there are sensors that read your brain activity. And when your brain is active, it actually talks to this app that you open up. And when you do a session, when you're listening with your headphones, when your brain is active, you hear rushing water, you hear wind. It's very loud. And when you are calm and your brain is not active and you're focused, you hear hardly anything. You hear maybe trickles of water. And if you're calm for a certain amount of time, you hear birds to kind of validate that you're doing this correctly. And I love that. I love the fact that this tool validates that I'm doing it right and that my brain is calm, because I've tried other apps and there are fantastic apps out there. There's one called Headspace that's amazing that was recommended to me by like 500 people when I started talking about wanting to implement meditation into my life. And that's fantastic. I love that app. The guy's voice is just awesome. I wish I had that voice who's guiding you through this meditation through this app called Headspace. But I remember specifically just wondering, is this working? Am I doing it right? I don't know. It was hard to tell. But this app called Calm, which plays along with this tool called Muse, you can find it at choosemuse.com, M-U-S-E. It just validates if you're doing it right or not. And at the end, it sort of gamifies it for you. It tells you how you're doing it. It helps you keep track of where you were at certain points during your session. It helps you understand what days you're best, what time of the day you're best, how, all this really fantastic information. And that's the kind of person I am. I love validation. I love information. I love data. And to keep track of my progress over time is helpful too. So I've implemented meditation into my life using this tool. And I want to give a shout out to my buddy, Michael Moon, who has one of my high school friends who showed me this thing. And he's since kind of weaned off of this thing. And I hope to do the same. So it's using this tool to train, but now he's able to do it on his own using Headspace. He knows what it feels like. And I hope to do the same thing by the end of the year as well. Another thing that I've been implementing into my morning routine is my exercise. So movement and moving around and exercising. And I've been combining that with some goals that I have for later in the year. So in September, I signed up recently for my first triathlon. A lot of you know I've been running half marathons and seeing them on Instagram and things like that. I want to go bigger and try harder and keep pushing myself. So I'm going to be doing a triathlon in September of this year. And silly me, I actually signed up for a second triathlon because I just want to keep doing it. And I know that first one's going to be a struggle because I'll have never gone through it before. So I signed up for a second one, which is the week after the first one. So you might call me crazy, but you know what? I love it. I just love pushing myself. And I need to set these goals in the future, these things to look forward to. Like before it was the half marathon. Now what's next? A triathlon to keep pushing me forward. Why am I waking up today? Well, I have a triathlon in September. That kind of thing is helping me. What's after the triathlon? Probably the next triathlon up. So right now I'm training for a sprint triathlon, which is a 750-meter swim, almost a half mile, and then a 12-mile bike ride and a 5K run, so a 3.1-mile run. And then the Olympic triathlon is twice that. And then, of course, we all know the Ironman triathlon, which is like I don't even know how long the swim is. It's ridiculous. And then it's like a 50 or 100-mile bike ride and then a full marathon after that. I don't know if I'm going to get to that point, but something to shoot for maybe. But I know that I'm making improvements in my life, not just for this triathlon, but for everything else around me. And I know from experience that, when I focus on my health and my exercise, it's just made just all these amazing things happen in other parts of my life, in my business focus, productivity, how happy I am, my stress levels go down, all this kind of stuff. And my confidence goes up too. Plus I feel like I look better too, cut out a little bit of the fat and more toned. So anyway, it's having a big effect on my life. So those are some things that I've been implementing now into my morning routine. And it's been fantastic. And I'm going to go over now and finish off this episode talking about what happens the moment after I wake up and kind of take you through my day now. This is 2015 we're talking about. So quite a long time after 2011, the last time I talked about a day in the life of Pat, sort of in a formal way on the blog or the podcast. And the purpose of this whole podcast and everything we're talking about here is not so that you can do the exact same routine as me. No, it's to hopefully give you some insight on how I do things, and hopefully you can pull some inspiration from that so you can implement something in your life that will help you become a better you. I mean, that's what the Miracle Morning has really done for me. So I know Hal listens to this podcast. Hal, thank you so much for sharing your wisdom and telling us your story, obviously. I mean, that was just such an incredible, inspiring story and tragic story that you told on episode 140 in terms of your accident and everything that you went through. But, we're all thankful for you, and thank you personally from me and my family to you for helping us understand how important the morning routine is. And really, like I said earlier, it has really set up my day every single day in a perfect way. And I feel like even if at 7 a.m., I just quit doing everything for the day and I just sit on the couch all day, I would have at least already accomplished so much. My meditation, my journaling, my reflection, my exercising, all that stuff already done by 7 a.m. I mean, it's just such a cool way to start the day. I'm dedicating the beginning of the day to myself, and then I'm giving it to other people. That's what we should be doing. So I highly recommend injecting some miracle morning routine into your life, picking up Hal's book. We'll put it in the show notes for you, of course. This is episode 150 of the Smart Passive Income Podcast. So, of course, the show notes are at smartpassiveincome.com/session150. But let's get into my morning routine and what it's like now. So recently, I've actually been waking up at 5:30 a.m. Now, with this app called Sleep Cycle, you set your alarm for 5:30, but it might wake you up as early as 5 because we go through these cycles, and oftentimes it does wake me up at 5:10 or 5:15, even though I set my alarm for 5:30. Well, this app tells me that if I wake up at 5:30 instead of when it tells me to, then I would have woken up more groggy. So it wakes me up at the perfect optimal time. So sometimes I have a few extra minutes in the morning. But the first thing I do immediately after I wake up is I go to the bathroom, like my sink, and I wash my face, a couple splashes of water on my face. I brush my teeth, and immediately, right after that, I'm awake. I'm ready. And so what I do after that is I go downstairs, I grab a glass of water, rehydrate. That was recommended by Hal as well. That's really helpful. And then I'm still in my pajamas at this point. I go to my office and I sit on a special chair that I have in my office that I've dedicated to be the sort of what I call the meditation chair, although I do a lot of other things like I read on it and things like that too. So what I do is I sit on that chair and I meditate. So I put on my little headband and I put on my headphones and I turn on my app called Calm, which goes along with that, and I do a 7-minute session. I started with 3. I'm moving up to 7. Hopefully, I'm going to get into the 12 and then the 20-minute session over time. And I've just found that the longer I go, the better chance I have of losing that focus. So, I got to a point where in my 7-minute session, I could tell every single session after 5 minutes, I would just lose it. And I would start thinking about these random things. Like my brain, like it wasn't ready to start thinking so focused for so long. And now I'm over the 7-minute mark. I'm actually getting into the 12-minute sessions now. So I can already feel the difference in training my brain into becoming more focused for longer periods of time. It's so cool. So I'll typically do a 7 or 12-minute session. And then immediately after that, with my headphones still in, I'll turn my app to iTunes Radio and turn on a Mozart channel. So I listen to classical music. And while I'm listening to classical music, I reach over and there's my 5-minute journal right there. Again, this is all done, prepared the night before, and I don't have to think about anything. It's all done for me because I don't want to waste that decision-making fuel that we have. I mean, this was something that somebody told me once, and I don't know if they told me or I heard it on a podcast, but they said you have every single day after you wake up a certain amount of fuel in your brain to make tough decisions. And the thing that sort of made me believe this was when you think about the end of your day and how, sometimes you're just like, whatever. I mean, the end of the day is when you make stupid decisions. You eat things you maybe shouldn't have and you just don't want to think anymore, right? And so that's kind of what's leading me to believe that this exists. I don't know if it does, health-wise or biologically. I'm not sure if it's real, but I want to believe it. And I feel like it's true. So I save all my important decisions for big decisions that I need to make, not, what do I do in the morning? It's already laid out for me. It's all done natural, just kind of flows into it immediately after I wake up. So after I meditate, I listen to Mozart and I grab my 5-minute journal and my pen's there already. And I start writing that day's entry. And I finish that day's entry. I close the book. I get up. I go to the kitchen and I typically grab one more glass of water at that point. And then I go upstairs. I put on my exercise clothes. It depends what I'm going to be doing. I either run or I bike, and I know the night before what I'm going to do. It's based off of the workout schedule that I have by a trainer that I have who's helping me swim, bike, and run this triathlon. And so I know what I'm going to do. I have those clothes laid out already. So I put on my running shorts or I put on my bib, sort of looks like a wrestler's outfit with the straps, for biking. And then I go exercise, and I'll typically go at least 30 minutes. That'll probably go up in the future as I get closer to the triathlon, but 30 minutes is good now to get a good, 5K in or a 10-mile bike ride. That's what it's been about so far. And then I come back home, and then immediately when I come home, I turn on the hot pot, which heats up some boiling water because I'm about to make a coffee. But first I go and shower. So the water's heating. I go and shower, come back down, clothes are ready. I'm already in clothes to start the day. I'm not in pajamas anymore. And I'm very awake at this point, obviously, because I've just worked out. And so I grab the water that's hot. I make myself a coffee, a bulletproof coffee, actually. You can look that up if you don't know what that is. And then while I'm doing that, I'm reading. While I'm drinking my coffee, I'm reading, which is a part of the Miracle Morning as well. And I'm not reading for too long, maybe 20 minutes, because by that time it's about 7 a.m., at which point my son will wake up and we'll start the day together. And at that point, I'm very happy and excited and energetic. And, I make sure he gets all his clothes on and I feed him breakfast and we talk and we hang out. I prime him for the day, ask him what he's excited about, those types of things. And then my wife is up and then my daughter's up too. And we all go together to bring my son to school. And that's the coolest thing. So I've already done a lot during the day. I've accomplished the exercising. I don't need to do that anymore during the day. I've already thought about what I'm about to do because I've written about that in the journal. So when I get into work mode, I already know what to do. Now, work mode doesn't happen yet. And what happens is we both bring my son to school, which is awesome. We're definitely, except for Friday sometimes, we're definitely the only couple that brings our kid to preschool together. And that's so cool. Even the teachers have noticed. They ask, how is that able to happen? A lot of the other parents ask, how are you both able to come and bring your son each day? I think that's so cool. I wish we could do that. And I'm just so thankful for this lifestyle that I've been able to create and to be able to do this. It's so cool. And I'm just very thankful. So, of course, those conversations with those parents and end up being discussions about online business and passive income and flexible hours and that sort of thing. And so we come back home, play with our daughter for a little bit, read, sing, and she loves to dance. So we dance. We have a little dance studio that we created in the house for her. We dance there. Or now she's actually getting into dance classes. So every once a week she goes to dance class and I can go with her for that as well, which is really cool. My work hours start after lunch. So in the mornings after, if we're not doing anything, my wife will get her own stuff done. She'll exercise and jog at that time or go out and do a workout or of some kind. And then that's her time. And that's my alone time with my daughter too, which is really cool. And then we'll have lunch together. And then kind of like before in 2011, I'll get into work mode. But I've sort of learned how to write during this time and be creative during this time. I don't save that till night, even though I still work a little bit at night. Like I'm recording this podcast right now at night, but I don't sleep quite as late as I used to before. I go to bed, midnight now. So I still have about 5.5 to 6 hours of sleep, but it's kind of just shifted around a little bit. But I feel like I start my day off better and I end on a higher note because I'm just so thankful for everything that I've already accomplished. Well, let's fill in the gaps. I missed out a whole afternoon and evening there. So I'll work during the afternoon, at which point my wife will be taking care of my daughter and also go to school to pick up my son. Sometimes if there's not much going on, I'll go with her to pick him up too, because he can be kind of crazy sometimes running around the schoolyard with some of his friends and stuff. And then we might get some errands done, or my wife might get her shopping done, grocery shopping at the time while I'm still in the office. And then at 5 o'clock, I'm out of the office every single day, except for Wednesdays. Wednesday is my day to get out of the house and go to downtown, where I go and work in a co-working space. And I'm testing this, but it's been really good to sort of once a week get out of the house. That's my full day to do some high-level stuff and really kind of walk away and start writing. And that I'm dedicating that time to book-related things. And you'll hear more about my book if you haven't already on SPI TV, and more later in other podcast episodes in the future. And that's been really cool to have that day for me away. I schedule that time Wednesday. Every Wednesday is the day that if somebody's in town, that's the day I go and meet them for coffee or have dinner with them. And I come home before the kids go to bed so I can tuck them in. I mean, that's my one day a week that is just for me. And that's the one day my wife knows that she's going to have full, care of the children. Now, her day is Sunday. That's her day to do whatever she wants. And that's the day that I take full responsibility for the kids. So we kind of trade off. And this is what's working for us now. But it's probably going to change once our daughter goes to school or our son gets into kindergarten. He has different hours. I mean, that's really what it's all about, working with what you have and adapting to the situation. And this is how we've adapted now. And it's been really great. So after 5 p.m., either I come out of the office and we have dinner together. Typically, I cook it at home. We've been trying really hard to do that more and not go out as much. And it's been really fun, and I get the kids involved in the cooking now with prepping certain things. We make our own gluten-free pizzas, and they put the cheese on and the pepperoni on and that sort of thing. Or, if anything needs stirring, I let my son or daughter do it, obviously in a safe way, nothing over the stove, things like that. We have dinner together, which is great. We spend the evening playing with Legos or doing activity books and reading and things like that. And then around 8 o'clock, it's time to get them ready for bed. So we give them a bath and we put them in their PJs. We read them. Right now, we're actually in the middle of reading Harry Potter. We're almost at the end of the first book, actually. We've been reading just a few pages a day, but it's been adding up. And my son's actually following the story quite well. And then we put them to bed. And at 9 p.m., once they're both down, if I have work to do, I'll finish it up and do a couple hours of work at night. Or if not, that's me and my wife's time to hang out, catch up on some TV that we've recorded. I mean, we don't cut out TV totally, but we've cut out a lot of it. But we've been utilizing the DVR to kind of time shift and be able to watch TV when we want to. We don't watch Dancing with the Stars anymore, which is something I mentioned in this post back in 2011. But we are big fans of a few other shows like The Walking Dead, Game of Thrones. I'll throw in a DVD every once in a while, like Back to the Future, of course, right? And then I've gone over the Star Wars series every few months just to kind of get that into my brain again. I just love Star Wars. And that's what my day is like. And then we go to bed. And before I go to bed, of course, I finish off my journal entry and talk about 3 things that, fill in the prompts for the 3 things that were awesome during that day. And it's really cool just to be like, yeah, that was awesome. And that becomes even a conversation starter between me and my wife when we're in bed getting ready. And then I finish off with what's one thing I wish I could have done better. And then I go to bed. And then I start the same thing the next day. Again, still, it's very flexible, which is really cool. And I think it also helps because when I work in the afternoon, I can get more stuff done that requires sort of conversations and interaction with other people. That was something that I didn't really do much of before. And I'm not going to force people to stay up till 4 a.m. unless they're like in Australia. I mean, me and Gideon Shalwick have great conversations, really late at night because that's the afternoon for him in Australia. But, it's just been really cool to have normal work hours during the day when my wife knows I'm in work mode and she has things to do and her responsibilities. And then me, I have my responsibilities and taking care and getting the kids ready in the morning and that sort of thing. I mean, it's a great back and forth. And it did require a lot of conversation, working together, adjustments, keeping track, wondering how we can make things better, and always keeping conscious about that. And it's been working out really well. And the Miracle Morning has definitely been a big part of it. And hopefully that just gives you some insight on what I've been up to and how things have been running lately. I mean, my productivity has been off the charts, and it's largely in part to the team that I've built over the last couple of years. And obviously, thanks to everybody on my team. You can hear more from them in episode 138 if you haven't already. You actually literally hear from them in that episode. And it's not just that, but though it's because I've been just completely focused. Like ever since starting the morning routine, I feel like when I'm working, I am just on it. And I remember today, actually, I just had a shoot. Like a film shoot, a recording with my videographer, Caleb, downtown. And we just cranked it out. Like there was it was just the most amazing film shoot, just spot on, one takes. Like everything I did today, I felt was on it and no waste of time. And I feel like now, especially because the kids are so young, I want to make sure that every second, every minute I spent working is for a purpose and is for something, a goal that I'm looking forward to accomplishing. Every minute I waste, I feel like that's time taken away from other things that I could be doing or spending time with my kids. And that makes me feel terrible when I catch myself. And I still catch myself every once in a while going down a YouTube hole or a Facebook, scrolling like 10 pages down on Facebook because there's just really interesting videos and funny captions and cool quote cards and things like that. I mean, it's really easy to get lost in all that stuff. But because I've been implementing the meditation and the journaling and just being really focused, it's really easy for me to get back on when I fall off that wagon. So that's my routine. So hopefully you enjoyed that episode. I want to know what you think. So if you have your own routine or you have comments about mine, let's talk about it. Go to smartpassiveincome.com/session150 and let me know what you think. I'm really curious to hear what you think and even I would love for you to share your morning routine, or if you've recently adopted the Miracle Morning, thanks to Hal and his book, I'd love to hear your thoughts too and how it's changed you, if it has changed you. Maybe you tried it and it didn't work out for you, but it is totally working out for me. And I'm just so excited to wake up every single day and do stuff for me, get stuff done, improve on my physical health, my mental health, learn in these books that I'm reading every morning while I'm reading coffee or drinking coffee, and just improving myself, and then being able to use that energy and everything that I've been doing and being productive with to help others, not only my family, but all of you listening to this too. That's how I've been able to get so much done already in these first couple months of this year. And hopefully that inspires you. So let me know what you think. Again, smartpassiveincome.com/session150. And you can even learn more about what I've been up to and even see what I've been up to by going to watchspi.tv. This is my brand new TV channel. Every Friday on the blog, I post a new video in this sort of TV show that I have. I mean, it's not on TV, it's on YouTube. It's also on iTunes as well. If you want to, you're on iTunes right now, most of you who are listening to this podcast, you can just quickly subscribe to the video show too. So you can go to watchspi.tv and subscribe from there, whether YouTube or iTunes, whatever is good for you. So go ahead and check that out. I don't think I've mentioned that yet here on the podcast. Also, I want to take a quick moment just to thank you. I don't know if you realize this, but the listeners, have made a massive impact on the direction of where Smart Passive Income has gone. As a result of you, I've been interviewing certain guests that you've recommended. As a result of your recommendations, I've been tackling different topics that are of high interest to you. In addition to that, I created a brand new podcast called Ask Pat, which you may have heard of before. And on that show, I answer voicemail questions from you as well. You can actually check that out at askpat.com. But that wouldn't happen if it wasn't for you. Obviously, Ask Pat, there needs to be questions in addition to my answers in order to make that show a success. And I'm so thankful that it's there, and I have you to thank for that. I also have you to thank for pushing me to create some online courses to help you through a number of the different problems and pains that you might be having with your online business, the scaling of it, just even the start and the process of it. Even though there's a lot of great free information here via the podcast, I know this from my own experience as well, Courses can be life-changing because you purchase a course and you are just in that mindset of actually doing that thing that course tells you to do. And I have a number of different courses available to you if that's the kind of thing you need in order to actually finally start getting results and taking action. So I know a number of you have already taken action, which is fine. Like, I'm not trying to push these courses on you, but they are there and available for those of you who would much prefer to get that targeted information and the accountability and the hand-holding through those processes. So if you want to check out and see all the courses that are available to you, all you have to do is go to smartpassiveincome.com/courses. That's a page that's going to continually grow over time as well. So keep checking back, smartpassiveincome.com/courses. And I look forward to hopefully seeing you there. Man, thank you guys so much for listening in on this and just spending time with me, thinking about, how our routine is, what our day is like, and kind of getting an insight on what life is like as Pat, at least today in 2015. I'll have to revisit this maybe in episode 200 or maybe in the next, maybe episode 250, we can talk about this again and see how my life has changed. It's always fun to think about what your life is like and how it was and what you've done to change it and improve it if you have. So hopefully you're all making improvements. Hopefully this episode has given you something in terms of what you can do to improve and optimize yourself, not just for you, but for others around you too. So thank you so much. I appreciate it. Check out the show notes. Leave me a comment at smartpassiveincome.com/session150. Love you guys. Thank you so much for listening. Take care. I'll see you next week.
Thanks for listening to the Smart Passive Income Podcast at www.smartpassiveincome.com.
More people dream about building their own business and being their own boss rather than retiring early. But a majority of them never even take the first steps to register the business. Why? Because starting a business can feel overwhelming. With legal forms, paperwork, finances, it's a lot. And that's where Taylor Brands comes in. Taylor is a complete business builder designed to make launching your business simple and stress-free. You can register your LLC in just minutes, keeping your personal and business assets separate from day one. And from there, you can get access to everything you need to get off the ground, from legal documents, licenses and permits, invoicing and bookkeeping tools, and even a 100-day business coaching program to help you hit the ground running. You'll also get a free personalized business plan, branding tools, and so much more. And of course, our listeners get an exclusive 35% discount to get started. Just head to taylorbrands.com/SPI. That's TAILORBRANDS.com/SPI. Stop dreaming, start building with Taylor Brands. Hey there, quick pause here because I have to tell you about a tool that completely transforms the podcasting workflow, Riverside. I get it. I used to juggle multiple platforms just to record one podcast episode. It was exhausting. Zoom for recording, Audacity for editing, and then a bunch of different apps just to create clips and social posts. I've tried other ones as well. They were okay, but they were clunky and super time-consuming. That's where Riverside has massively helped. I can do it all in one place, recording, editing, repurposing, one platform, one streamlined flow. I just log in, record with my guests no matter where they are in the world, and just like that, studio-quality audio and high-resolution video all in one. And get this, even if your Wi-Fi glitches, Riverside records locally on your device so everything sounds and looks crystal clear. But here's my favorite feature, Riverside's AI editing tool. You can remove silences and filler words with just one click, hours saved. With Magic Clips, Riverside also automatically finds the best moments and turns them into ready-to-post videos for YouTube Shorts, TikTok, Instagram, all without the extra editing. So if you're looking to level up your production quality and simplify your workflow, go to smartpassiveincome.com/Riverside and use code SMART to get 1 month free on the Pro plan. That's smartpassiveincome.com/Riverside, promo code SMART. It's built by creators for creators, and I think you're going to love it.